There's the B-25 running, 2 right cyclone engines, about a 15-ton aircraft. It's going to be demonstrated like a 5-ton aircraft very shortly. So the aircraft all take off and start cutting the corner off to try and catch up. Formation flying, these guys are going to show the level of skill required, and one of those skill sets is actually to join the formation. Sounds fairly straightforward, but actually catching up with an aircraft that took off a minute or so in front of you is actually part of the skill set. You watch them, they're all going to do it in front of the crowd, which is actually very brave. Most of my formation joins are done behind the crowd, so any slip-ups are not seen by you guys. So the B-25 is the higher aircraft, he's the leader, and everybody else is going to sort themselves out into what we call a diamond formation around him. The B-25 Mitch is a medium bomber used throughout the war by most of the Allied air forces. Very, very useful aircraft with a reasonable bomb load, with a range of around about 800 miles, and it was used as a tactical bomber. So if you wanted a bridge taken out in Italy or northwestern Europe, the Mitchell was the perfect aircraft to do it. Somewhat outshined by the heavies, the B-17s and Liberators, it was much as valuable of them, although it wasn't doing a strategic job, it was doing a tactical job, along with the B-26 Marauder, similar aircraft. And that was led by General Doolittle. They bombed Tokyo. It was a very small bomb load because they couldn't carry much anyway. That's the B-25. Running in from your right, the Red Bull Air Force. So there's not an awful lot to contend with, but these are 4 completely different aeroplanes, so you do have to appreciate the skill of the pilots.
We're talking about the pilots in the cockpit of the B-25. We have Frederick Handelman and Ludwig Reiter. They are in the cockpit of that B-25 as they lead the formation in from left to right.
Very Austrian, Swiss thing.
Inside the B-25 in the hangar, and inside the undercarriage bays and behind the engines, it's just as clean. It looks like they've just come out of a restoration hangar, and that's a tribute to this team that look after these aeroplanes, both mechanics and just helpers who keep these aircraft in such stunning condition. Running around as our diamond formation, I think at this point the B-25 is going to pull up and do its solo display, and the other aircraft will then climb to height for what is a very spectacular aerobatic display to come. shut up and just watch this artistry. With the Red Bull since 2000. He's actually their chief pilot and he's qualified to fly all the aircraft in the fleet. P-38 aircraft he's leading with is a almost unique aircraft in its twin-engine, twin-boom fighter. It's been very rarely imitated and again was an American solution to the World War II problem. How can we get more powerful airplanes? So Lockheed went with two engines in this completely unique twin-tail boom design. Designed as a long-range escort fighter, as well as those two big engines had big fuel tanks to go a long way. It was introduced into the European theatre in 1943, but they had great difficulty getting the engines to work at the high altitudes. They hadn't predicted just how cold it was going to be in the European winter, and they had all sorts of problems getting the turbo superchargers to work, and problems with oil congealing, but at least they had two engines, and most of the missions they came back with one of them working. It was much more successful in the Pacific, where it was a somewhat more temperate climate, and obviously those two engines at long range made it a fantastic fighter for those very long distances the missions were flown in the Pacific. The engine to produce a huge amount of power at high altitude. P-38 was actually the mount of the highest scoring ocean World War II Major Richard Bond, he scored 40 over American 1747. Originally a demonstration pilot for Northern Air Force Flying F-16. Two enormous Griffin engines,
go, in from the left-hand side, cameras ready.
And the Griffin 37 litres makes a very different noise.
And instantly the propeller spins in the opposite direction.
It does, yes. You've got to set the rudder trim in a different direction. The aircraft wants to go right rather than left in a Merlin. Woe betide you if you forget which aircraft you're flying.
So as the flying balls land on the hard runway, I'm not going to get caught out by this today. Yesterday I was caught out by those two aircraft that are started up on the flight line in front of the VIP enclosure. Now you can see there are people holding down the wingtips of those World War I Fokker aircraft. Now it caught me out yesterday, weren't today, so if you're at the front of the crowd line, do definitely get your cameras ready, because as soon as the Corsair touches down from the flying balls, you're going to see something quite fabulous from the flight line in front of you.